It's one thing to create a connection. It's a whole different ball game when it comes to maintaining engagement throughout your conversation with somebody, particularly when you know this person holds the keys to your success. So how do you know when somebody's starting to lose interest? We all know the telltale signs. When somebody's starting to look at their mobile phone, when somebody's starting to respond to distractions, when somebody's starting to fidget, scratch the back of their hair, yawn, etc., etc. But there are some other subtle signs that we can observe just by looking not at their eyes. Because if you're in an interview situation and you study somebody's eyes, that could send the wrong message. Looking at their eyebrows. There's certain things that we can pick up just by studying somebody's eyebrows to see whether or not this person is engaged or disengaged with our message. Lowered eyebrows. When somebody lowers their eyebrows in a conversation, it's usually done to conceal their eyes because they don't actually trust the other person's message or doesn't actually trust the other person, period. So the eyebrows lower to conceal the eyes because we all know that the eyes are the gateway to the soul. So having somebody peer into your eyes can be very, very personal. So when they don't trust you, that's the first sign, that's the first thing they look to conceal. So the eyebrows lower. It can also be done on deep concentration, but what you tend to find is when the eyebrows lower and you're concentrating on something, you get this pinch in between the eyebrows. These little bumps appear between the eyebrows. This shows that you're concentrating on something. But generally, the flat, lowered eyebrow is a sign that the other person doesn't trust you. So you need to be thinking about what can you do to change that expression. The raised eyebrows. This is normally done to indicate surprise. And when you do raise your eyebrows or observe somebody doing so, it's to see more. As your eyebrows raise, your eyes are more exposed to light at the same time, which allows you to have a clearer vision of what the other person is saying or expressing. So when you see the eyebrows are raised, they're in surprise. How long you can keep that person's eyebrows raised depends on how good you are in engaging. So when the eyebrows are raised, this is your opportunity because they're literally saying to you, they want more. They want more. The more eyebrows that are raised, the more that you're on the winning side. You actually have got the person now hooked. For those of you who are blessed with the ability to raise a single eyebrow, this is normally done as an act of cynicism. It's an act of sarcasm, where not only you don't trust what the other person said, but you're actually trying to mock them at the same time, like, look at that person talking rubbish. So if you're the recipient of the one eyebrow stare, best believe somebody's going to come back with a rebuttal, whatever you got to say, and it's going to be sarcastic. What you're trying to do is avoid situations where the other person's eyebrows are caught in the middle, either pointing downwards and squinting the nose bridge. This will indicate the person's confused and they're trying to understand. So if you're trying to convince somebody to buy something and you can see the prospective customer is squinting in that fashion, eyebrows are pointing in the middle and squeezing the bridge just above the nose, forming a ridge, this will mean that they will not buy from you, because until they understand what it is you're offering, they're not going to buy anything. So you have to then come and present with more information to the other person so that they can make an informed decision. Okay, so the middle ground is one whereby you have to study it very, very closely and combine it with what the body's doing and get the context right before you can fully understand what happens. Again, if the eyebrows are raised up in the middle and they are flat, it could mean, I'm so glad it's over. Try and go for wow factors, because the wow factors are when you know the person is alert, they're engaged with your message, because the eyebrows will be raised, okay? The body language will be open. That is when then you engage and hit them up with far more stories in terms of information that's relevant to them. There's no point in you telling a story that bears no reference, no interest to the person. Remember, we are all very selfish people at our core. We are only interested in people that are interested in us. So your storytelling has to be one that involves the other person's interests. Last and by no means least is talking. When you're having these conversations, which are fluid, yes, you have to get your point across, but it's equally important to listen to what the other person is saying. So a good exercise that we all can do to raise our awareness, to ensure that we can actually hold back, we can actually stop and listen to somebody else, is get somebody to be with you, sit with you for 5 minutes. Okay? It's a 5 minutes exercise. For 2.5 minutes, allow the other person to just talk to you. And you are not allowed to say anything back to that person. And anytime you do feel like talking, I want you to write down the feelings that are going through your body. Are you trying to interrupt them to prescribe your opinion about something? Are you interrupting them because you are nervous and you're just a compulsive talker? You just have to talk. Because when you're having a conversation of value and influence, what you want to do is leave that conversation knowing more about the other person than yourself. A lot of people who talk too much, they walk away and you ask them, what was the conversation about? And they have nothing to say. It's because the conversation is all about them. You are who you are. You're always going to be who you are. So if you're having a conversation with somebody else, it's not about you reaffirming that which you know already. It's about you coming with a new outlook to life, to a situation, to a product, or whatever the case may be. It's getting those insights. In war, they say the most influential person is the spy. Now, spies' job is to infiltrate the enemy camp, understand what their plans are, so that they can inform their own commanders, so that they can fight the battle on better terms. Now, if a spy was to do that and will spend most of the time talking, not gathering information, they'll be of no value. They'll come back and tell the generals exactly what they knew already. You have to be thinking, how can I close my mouth to allow new information to flow my direction that I can then interpret at another date or time? Okay, that is your mindset. And that way the other person will actually feel that, okay, this has been valued, a valuable situation. I've managed to talk through certain situations. I managed to explain what my company does in this interview situation. So it's a win-win situation when you allow dialogue to flow. But if you're a talkaholic, go through this exercise at least once a week. Get your colleague to sit down with you and talk for you straight for 2.5 minutes, 5 minutes, and just be quiet. Write down what you are thinking. Write down when you interject and make those adjustments accordingly. So for the last exercise, I want you to reflect on past experiences and have a story for every emotion you want to evoke in somebody. Whether or not you want them to have raised oxytocin levels so they build up trust in you, what story would you tell? If you want a situation whereby somebody feels that they can relax and they can have fun around the situation, what sort of story would you have? If you want somebody to feel a suspense and they want to feel heightened focus, what sort of story would you tell? You must have all of these stories ready to go in your mind. So in any situation, you can evoke that feeling in the other person. That is how you keep somebody engaged, the art of storytelling. And if you can find one magic story that has all of these elements in it, that is clear and is concise, you're onto a winner. Perfect the way you tell that story. Practice telling that story daily so that you can drop it at a drop of a dime. All of this means nothing, guys, if it's not applied and shared. Each one, teach one. This has been Douglas Hamadishe for NobodyMotivation.com. I'm out. Download your free 140 Rule ebook from the 140rule.com website. The links are below.